I'll start and then let Joe chime in. I think anytime you can qualify for the playoffs in this league, that's an important goal. We're trying to finish as high as we can in the regular season. We had some challenges, obviously, to start the year, but we grabbed one of those spots. But the ending was very disappointing. We'll admit that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of turnover this year. I think that after the deadline, we really liked the team we had. We felt this was a deep team that was ready to compete and be there at the end. So it is disappointing that it ended like that. You look back at the series and 5-on-5, I thought we played great hockey. Prepared and the guys were dialed in and we were playing Avalanche hockey. I think the difference in the series, when you look back and reflect, is their power play. They executed. They did everything they needed to do to be dangerous and scored at key moments of the game. And our power play didn't do that for whatever reason. Whether it was it ended up being confidence, I think, but try and make adjustments. But we just we didn't have it at the right time, and so that at the end of the day, that when you look at it all, that was the difference.
Okay, we'll go Colleen, then Megan.
What were the injuries that North America was
Well, obviously we lost Ross Colton in the I think right through game one. Pulled his groin pretty good. That was a big loss for us. But I think everybody else, bunch of players with bumps and bruises and that sort of thing, but nothing that would warrant anything more specific than that.
Megan, then we'll go to Pat.
Nathan had some understandably raw comments after Game 7. He said, without Dallas's top D and best forward, we couldn't beat them. We didn't know what we're going to do next. How do you receive that comment with respect to the future direction of this team?
Well, like anything, Megan, at the end of a year, whether it's round 1 or round 2 or round 3, you assess where your group is at, where your positional holes will be, what the cap space is. You're getting into the draft. So Nathan's an emotional guy. He's a leader for our team. We'll sit down with him and have an exit interview as we do with every player at the appropriate time. But nothing really is different in terms of what we have to do now, except we wish we weren't having to do it right now. So that part of it is when Nathan gets back from the Worlds, we'll chat with him and have an exit. But as far as Joe, myself, the hockey staff, our off-season primer just starts too soon, too quick for this off-season. That's for sure.
Go ahead, go with Pat.
Joe, just revisiting January 24th for a second. How involved were you in that decision to trade Mikko and with Chris, and how difficult was it to trade like an iconic player like Mikko?
Well, listen, I was part of everything that was going on. And as a group, we felt we had a decision to make, and it's a tough decision trading a guy like that. But you look at where we were in the last few years, we weren't good enough. We weren't deep enough. We won in 22 because we had our stars, but we were also deep, and you can't win the Stanley Cup without it. And status quo wasn't good enough. We wanted to have him signed, and I'm not going to go into details and say talk about negotiations, but I know his agents. They know where they were at before the trade was made. So, but after the deadline, we love the team we have. If it was up to me, if we could do it, and we'd love to bring this same unit back and try and go on another run. But we felt we had to get deeper, and not only for this season's team, but moving forward. That just paying 3 high-end guys and not having a surrounding cast wasn't going to get it done.
So Sean, then Jesse.
To follow up with that for Chris, how do you process when the hockey gods and what have you, when it finishes like that, and something reverse Hollywood nightmarish kind of thing? Do you just think like, what could we have done differently with Mikko? What is this telling me when it ends like that?
The hockey gods, like I think that's just a way of saying, did you get the job done or not? Obviously there were some strange goals both ways in this series. I think you earn your breaks. For me, it wasn't about officiating at all. We just didn't get it done. We had period three leads with 12 minutes to go, and some crucial times where we had to come through, whether it was on the special teams or whatever, to step on their throat early in the series, and we didn't do it. I tip my cap to Ottinger and the Dallas Stars. It's a very, very good hockey team. I think they had the 5th most points or whatever it was in the league. They're a great team, and we knew, Joe, myself, the staff knew, and Christmas time in January that Winnipeg, Dallas was going to be a gauntlet, and we weren't good enough at that point to get to battle with those two foes. And then St. Louis came on hard, and obviously Minnesota. It's a tough division, but no excuses. We blew 3 third-period leads, and at crucial times we didn't execute, and that's why we lost.
For you and Joe, is there anything you guys would have done differently in the Miko negotiations in hindsight?
No, I mean, what's done is done. That happened. We moved forward, and we're very confident with the group we have here. I mean, we still think. I mean, we had a really good team here to finish the year. It was a lot deeper, a lot stronger than it was to start the year or Christmas time. We didn't get it done, and that's unfortunately. They executed at key moments of the game. Give them credit, like Chris said. We did not execute in those big moments, and that's the difference. But our effort was there, preparation was there. I thought, I'll say it again, like 5-on-5, I thought we played incredible hockey, and we just didn't get it done in those big moments. And like I mentioned, I mean, their power play was a difference for them, and ours just wasn't quite as sharp as it normally is.
Jesse, look over here.
For either one of you guys, talking to the players after the game, it still seemed like they still have a strong connection with Jared Bednar. I guess just where are you guys at? Where's the organization at confidence-wise in Jared's ability to lead this group?
100% confident Jared's our head coach.
Get over here, Evan.
Second line center's been a revolving door the last few years. Brock Nelson, you guys gave up a lot to get him. How would you assess his play, and then is there a mutual interest, I guess, on both sides in continuing that relationship?
Joe can chime in as well on that. I think Brock came in and did a good job. Like, he's a big, strong centerman, two-way guy. I know, he didn't get a goal in the playoffs, but like, we don't judge everything by goals, right? Like, he's a very strong defensive player. He's a big body. He's hard to play against in his own way. He's been a proven goal scorer, in this league, and that's the danger of short sample sizes in the playoffs, right? If we move on and he gets 5 goals in round 2 and whatever, everyone forgets about round 1. But yeah, 2 season, it's an important position, right? For every hockey team, you need that guy to provide consistent 5-on-5 offense, and it's usually a spot where it's going to touch power play, penalty kill, face-offs, that sort of thing. And Brock's a known quantity in this league, and we'll continue to do our exits and our work, and one of those is meet with Brock and find out how he felt fitting in, and we'll attack the off-season negotiations in due time and make those hard decisions.
Corey, then Eric.
Just 2 things. One, do you anticipate any other staff changes beyond Brent? And then the other thing is, like, normally when we're in this position, it's like, how can the team get better next year? And I'm just wondering if you think the team needs to get better next year, or just how that happens.
To answer your first question, I assume you're talking specifically like hockey ops, bench coaching, that type. No, we do not at this time. And then the second, Corey, we'll do what we do, right? We'll look at our cap space, and we'll look at our internal free agents and the external free agents, and see where the holes are, and see if the math works, and find out where we can improve the team. But our goal is always to improve the team. Next year, I think it's 95.5, so it's still relatively, well, very tight for us, to be quite honest. And with those holes, we're going to have to see how we can make the math work. But our goal is always to get better, and we've got a lot of players that are coming back here that are obviously good hockey players. So, that's for the next, few months here to dial that in for sure.
And I will say the one positive that we got out of this, the return of our captain, Gabe. I mean, listen, nobody knew if he would be able to come back, not even himself, and to come back the way he did. It was pretty inspiring, and knowing another full summer of training, we're very fortunate that he showed it how he showed, how well he played, and we're excited to have him come back to start the season with the group. That'll be a big plus for us.
And to piggyback just off of that, sorry, Bree, Corey, knowing that and knowing where his cap space is very different than the previous 3 years. So that's a big piece that Joe just mentioned.
There were reports on deadline day. Obviously, I'm not an insider, but there were reports that leading up to the deadline time that the Carolina and Dallas deal was potentially going to fall apart because they were trying to negotiate a deal for Nico and Dallas. Is there, I guess, any regret, or was there any thought of trying to do something like that where you work with the player and his agent to sign a deal when you traded him, or is that just off the? I mean, it was a very difficult thing to do. Was that just not a thought that was considered?
Like with us in Carolina and Dallas, we weren't involved in that at all. Once.
Sorry, the trade that you made to send him to Carolina, was there any thought of working with Nico that when you trade him, he signs in that place?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on the lead up into the negotiations that we have with the player and his agent.
Roger and then Ryan.
Back to Landy, he obviously comes in and makes a huge impact in the latter part of the series. Was there a decision based off of something with his medicals that kept him out of game 1 and game 2, or was that a strategic decision in terms of offensive play?
It was nothing strategic. It was just he played for the Eagles. We had to make sure on his conditioning and see where he was at and get him up to speed with the NHL pace and practices, and felt that was the best. After game 2, we felt that was the best way to do it.
And he was on board. He felt the same. Just a few more practices just to make sure he was ready to go.
Ryan, Will, and Pat.
Regular season power plays, 8th in the league, playoffs, 13th, 14th. I mean, is that something that factors into the decision to move on from Bennett? Is it just an overall year thing? Is it postseason?
Well, it's definitely when you look on how we lost, and we just feel that maybe a different voice should help. I mean, listen, he's done a great job. He's worked extremely hard. He's a great person. Our power play's been top 10 over the last few years, but we feel the way things ended, maybe a different voice going in next year could help that. But ultimately, execution comes from the players. I mean, your top players. We have some of the top players in the world on our team. They're the ones out there that need to execute. So it just ran dry at the wrong time, and it's tough to make a change. You don't like to do that, but we feel moving forward, we're hoping that a change of voice might help our power play going into next year.
Will and Pat.
Joe, obviously, it's really raw right now, but this window still does feel open. Do you feel like this window is still open to win championships in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Listen, if you got Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, your window's open, and that's why it's important from the management side to when it comes to trade deadlines, you try and do what you can to give them the best opportunity. You're not going to have those players forever, so when you have them, you try and surround them with as good a players as you can and give them that opportunity to do what they do best.
Go ahead, Pat.
Chris, kind of to piggyback off that question is, I mean, you want to run it back, and you have the desire to run it back. But when you've been, you've won the cup, and you've had some second round exits, first round exits. How do you balance the line between running it back and just blowing it up?
Blowing.
Just trying to make big trades and swing. I mean, just trying a new attack. You tried. It just seems like.
Well, I think Joe nailed it. I think you know, you got Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Devon Taves and, you know, now Gabriel Landeskog and Val Nichushkin and Lehkonen. And if we take that tact of, like, we're going to wait, then our guys are, going, what are we doing, right? Like, we've got good players. We're a contender. We're a 100-point team. It's that fine line, right, of balancing your picks, your prospects, and going for it, right? And it's we know the narrative is you've got these two players you've got to win versus also keeping another eye on the future, right? So we felt, or at least I did, and I know, obviously, talk with Joe all the time, when we got McKenzie and Scott Wedgwood in November, and it started to look different, right? They did a great job for us in the net, and we felt like, okay, we've got that was a big part. Those were the pieces that fell into play. But as we moved into the winter, we still, when you go to your mid-year meetings, we're not good enough. We're not good enough as currently constituted to do battle to get through our division, which the way it's set up, we knew that's where it was heading. Or, we wanted to finish as high as we can in the division and not, necessarily be a wild card team. We wanted to go high, but that's what kind of prompted, like, we have a good team here, and we can do damage, and we made the decision to do it, and our players were excited, and we were excited. So that's what led to, the morphing into we got to improve the back end. We need a little sandpaper, and we had to upgrade in the middle of the ice, which we did, and it just didn't work.
Megan, then Eric.
When McKenzie got to that year, he signed with Keith and Terry, ever haven't seen him in the playoffs. What did you learn about him in this series?
Well, not just in this, I think the first 4 games he was at the top of the charts. Now 4 games doesn't make a playoff, but Joe obviously can speak to it better than me, the importance of playoff experience and going through it. But I think from day one, he stabilized the net for us and fostered a belief that, he has to be good, but he can steal games also. And I think that's the job of a number one goalie. He's big body. He works hard. And gave us something that we were looking for, consistent, a guy that can be a workhorse in the net and play 50-plus games, and we got him, we got to the playoffs, and he was a huge part, of that, along with, Scott Wedgwood and him stepping in and doing a great job. But I think, when I meet with McKenzie, like, we're just hopefully scratching the surface with what he can do as a number one goaltender for us in the future.
Yeah, I think that's one thing going into next year. We know our goaltending is set, and I mean we're gonna be good. It hurts right now. This one stinks. We're not gonna lie to you. You go into the playoffs every year. You want to win the Stanley Cup, but there's those years that you feel that this is like 22. Like, we knew we had the team to do it. Like, we feel like this year's team was on that level. And so that's why this one's going to sting. It's going to sting a little longer than, other years. But we're a regroup, and we got great players here, great character that want to win, and we're going to find a way to, next year, be in this situation again and try and compete for the Cup.
Eric and Corey.
Is it high on the priority list to negotiate with Marty Natchez a year out before UFA status to get him locked up this year, or is that something that you guys want to kind of give more time to? And then the second part to that, obviously the Landeskog situation, the flatter cap, like, it's been hard to, it's well documented, it's been difficult to build that roster in the offseason, but given that both of those are kind of solved, like, are you hoping to have more of a clear roster heading into the regular season so that you're not adding Natchez and Jury and all these guys, Nelson Coyle, to, like, fit into the system in 6-7 weeks?
Yeah, to answer your second part first, yes, knowing that, knock wood, that Gabe is everything looks like it's in a much better place, and he was able to play, for us, and get through the playoffs in a good place, and going into the off season knowing that hopefully that we can count on him come training camp. That's big. That's huge. In terms of like any player, whether it's, Marty Nakish or Parker Kelly or anybody who's got one has 1 year left and getting ahead of it type of thing. Yeah, we'll look at all that and try and see. Again, it takes two parties that have to want to get a deal done, and they've got to, we all know where the cap's going the following year, so we got to look at what those challenges are and make those decisions. But when you have a year out, it's not as pressing, obviously, as if it's a guy that's up on June 30th. But yes, we will look at all those things and see if we can make the puzzle pieces work and have those discussions like we do every year.
For two last ones, go ahead, Corey.
Is anybody else besides Nate going to Worlds? And is there any chance, or do you expect to see the lockout for Goalie in North America next year?
Marty Nakish is going to Worlds, and Nathan, and I'm thinking that's it right now. No, not Gabe. No, not that I'm not sure if they even asked, but to my knowledge, no on Lecky and Kivy, and we have had discussions with Nabokov's agent. We'll see if we can find that. We would like to get something done there. And Gulyayev has another year on his KHL contract.
Last two, Jesse, then Colin.
Joe, you just mentioned a minute ago that this one really stings, maybe worse than years past. I imagine there's at least a level of that because Nico is on the other side, part of that comeback. I know you guys don't talk about what other teams do deals, but there had to be a level of frustration in your guys' office when you're seeing that deal go through. That you guys sent him out east, and now here he is coming back to the Central.
To be honest with you, we heard after the fact he wasn't planning on signing an extension with Carolina, that there's a possibility, but no, this stings not because Mikko was on the other side. It stings because we felt this was we were close. I mean, we did those deals because it was wide open. A lot of really good teams, equal teams, and wanted to put ourselves in a position to be one of those teams that had a legit shot to win a Stanley Cup. And just when you watch, like for me, just watching how well we played on certain phases of our game, and how well we were prepared, the guys were dialed in, and just to see like kind of one phase that wasn't there. That's where it stings, because we felt we had the team to move on and really compete, and we played against a team that felt the same way. I mean, the Dallas Stars are an excellent hockey club. I wouldn't be surprised if you'll see them in the finals. I mean, they're going to go through some good teams as well. But that's where it stings, is just knowing the type of team we had and not to get through.
Colin, finish us up.
With that said, power play, execution, guys having kind of off games and that sort of situation that we're dealing with, what is it, if saying that it was a team that you thought could move on, what went wrong?
Well, I just think, I'll say I went through as a player as well. I mean, you're sometimes things just aren't going to go your way. Like I look at Kale. Like Kale played so well. He has as many chances in the playoffs as he did in the regular season on a per game thing. He might have got blocked, great saves, just missed the net sometimes, and those things happen. But it doesn't mean you don't play well. It's sometimes it's just not going your way, and it was bad timing for some guys. So we just missed on some opportunities, and we didn't capitalize. And but we'll get back at this again next year. I mean, like I said, it stings right now, and next year is going to come here, and we're going to have another competitive team that's going to try and that's going to have the same goal in mind and try and win. But it's just, I mean, everybody's frustrated, everybody's disappointed, just because we felt we were this close to moving on.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.